Another season means another upcoming draft class. As always, I've brought on my friend Octy of Octogonal Gaming to help me go over all of these amazing players that will make an impact on the series the rest of the way. He will again have prospects for you in the international realm. Make sure you drop a like if you're excited to get into this, as well as hitting that sub button if you are new, because franchise content is all we do here, and we could build a winner together. Without further ado, Octy, what did you see in international baseball this season?
What's good, everybody? This is Octy from Octogonal Gaming here with the international scouting report here for the upcoming MLB draft in FG's Detroit Tigers franchise. Before we start, once again, massive thank you to FG for having me on. I've been doing the international scouting of this series since Season 2, so this is my third time looking at some of the international players in the draft. I've had fun with it all 3 years, and I'm happy to show all of you some of the players that the Tigers could be looking at acquiring in this year's upcoming MLB amateur draft, along with a few guys who could just become major league stars one day in general. So without further ado, let's get this one rocking and rolling. We're going to be starting off in the Dominican Republic, and it's no secret that this country breeds major league talent as we take a look at left-handed starting pitcher Willie Ramirez. Ramirez is a talented player. He's already 23 years old, so I think that could stunt his growth a little bit compared to some of these other prospects, but I do think he's a very well-rounded pitcher. He throws hard, and I think he's a really, really solid player. So I think if you can develop him in your minor leagues, yeah, he's a late bloomer, but I think he has potential to be a solid major league starter. Another pitcher on this Dominican Republic staff is reliever Nolan Feliz. Feliz has the upside to be one of the top relievers in baseball. He's extremely raw. He's at least 4 or 5 years away from being a major leaguer. However, I think once he becomes a major leaguer, I think he has a legit shot to be an all-star caliber pitcher one day. So you're going to have to be patient with this kid. But if you're willing to take some time and develop him, I think he's going to be a really, really good player for your team. So I think the Tigers should at least consider drafting him pretty early in this upcoming draft. The next player we're going to look at on this Dominican Republic team is first baseman Edmundo Espinoza. Espinoza is probably going to be one of the top 10 or 15 picks in this draft class. He's only 19 years old, and he has a really, really good skill set. I think he's a good contact hitter, especially against lefties, but he does hit well against righties too. Has some decent pop in his bat. I think in his prime he could be a 300 to 310 hitter with maybe 20 to 25 home runs per year. He has good arm talent. He has a strong arm, which I think makes him versatile on the diamond, so I think you can use him in a number of different ways. The final Dominican player we're going to be looking at is shortstop Willie Rosas. Rosas is very raw, and I think he's going to get overdrafted. I'm not so super huge on his skill set. He has an okay bat, doesn't have a lot of pop, but he does have good contact. Isn't great defensively. Now, I will tell you, he is athletic. He is very fast. He is very good on the base passes. However, I just don't think his skill set really lines up to where he's going to be drafted, and I do think he's probably going to be a first-round selection, so I think a team could make a mistake by overdrafting him. Let's look at a catcher from the Netherlands, one of my favorite players in this year's class, Marshall Nielsen. Nielsen is 22 years old, a bit old for a prospect, but I do like his upside. You could put him as your starting catcher right now, and he'd have a legit shot of winning a Gold Glove. Great defensively, great arm. Now, the rest of his game is lacking. He does not have a great bat at all, so I think you're going to really have to develop that for a few years in the minor leagues. But defensively, this kid is an absolute stud. So, I mean, he could be a 230 hitter in his prime, but he's still going to be, in my opinion, a Gold Glove caliber catcher. Speaking of catchers, we look at another player I like in this class, Carmen Escalona. Look at him hustling out a triple there. Escalona is a phenomenal contact hitter. He has a really good bat already. Doesn't have a whole ton of power. Isn't going to hit a whole ton of home runs. But, I mean, this guy can swing the bat. Defensively, he needs some work. He does have a good arm, and I think the Tigers should really look at drafting him. I think he's a really, really good player if you're willing to develop him for a few years. Sticking with Venezuela, we look at second base prospect Jose Cisneros. Cisneros is one of the blue chippers most likely in this year's class, probably going to be a top 10 or 15 pick. Defensively, he's a stud. He's great on the base passes as well, but he does need to improve his bat. is atrocious if played against righties, and against lefties isn't a whole lot better. So I really think you're going to have to develop this kid for a few years in the minors, but I think his upside is a lot bigger than the concern of him being a bust. Now we look at Japanese starting pitcher Robert Hashimoto. Hashimoto's probably going to be a very high pick in this year's draft, and for good reason. I do think he is raw, but this is a guy who's going to give you 100% effort. He throws hard. He can strike out batters at a good clip. He is pretty good at hits per nine as well. Now, the walks, they need to improve. The control needs to improve. He needs to be more clutch. He's not great in big game situations. But other than that, I think this kid has a lot of potential. And if you're willing to develop him, then I think he's a guy you should look at in round one. We have not scouted a player in Germany in these international draft videos until now. Catcher Chris Kraus is the player we're going to be looking at. This guy's another late bloomer. He has a lot of potential, but he's super raw now. Does not have a great bat, is not great defensively, but the intangibles are there. He has a very good feel for the game, and I do think he is pretty athletic. Now, he has a lot of work to do. He is very, very far away from being a major league caliber player, but, I mean, if you're willing to take a chance on him and let him grow, then I think he could be solid. Let's look at Puerto Rican second baseman Pablo Caruso. Caruso is a borderline major league caliber player right now. He has good contact, good power. He has a really good bat. He's fast on the base passes. He plays solid defense. But he's 25 years old, and in this game, I've never seen a prospect older than 24. So Caruso doesn't have a whole lot more growing to do. Now, he's a really good player now. I think if you were to put all these guys in the majors of the players that we're talking about today, I think Caruso would be the best, but he's 25. He's going to have a shorter peak than some of these players. The final prospect we're going to be looking at is Canadian starting pitcher Monty Mudd. Mudd is a very well-rounded pitcher. He throws hard. He strikes out batters at an efficient rate. He has good control. He doesn't walk too many batters. He doesn't have as much upside as some of the other starting pitchers today, like Robert Hashimoto. But I think Monty Mudd should be a first-round pick. And I think in a few seasons, he could be a pretty good second or third starter in your rotation. So I think Monty Mudd could be a really, really good player in this draft class. I don't think enough people are talking about him. And if he falls out of the first round, he will be an absolute steal. So that's going to end my portion of the scouting special. Once again, massive thanks to FG for having me on. There are a lot of fun players in this draft that I really think the Detroit Tigers could look at acquiring, and I'm very curious to see which direction Detroit ends up going in this year's draft. So that's it for me, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm out. Back to you, FG.
It seems as though Octy had a lot of fun checking these guys out. The Dominican Republic looked crazy good, as usual. Make sure you guys head on over to Octy's channel, which is linked in the description, and check out his content. Let him know who sent you, and drop a sub if you enjoy the franchise stuff he's putting out over there. But now, let's take a look at some College World Series action. The top 8 teams in the country all advanced to end up playing each other, making for one of the most star-studded tournaments in recent history. Texas had a pair of stars help them make it this far in starting pitcher Calvin Billingsley. He has some nice break on his pitches, but really excels with his velocity, which is top-notch. Most of the college world just couldn't touch his pitches. Having a partner in crime on the offensive side helped him out for sure. Shortstop Mark Clemente was recruited from Arizona and showcased some great plate discipline and contact all season, batting .356. However, number 5 Texas had trouble with Illinois starting pitcher Brian Aviles and his crazy breaking balls. The curveball is his strength, and he used it to perfection, going 8 scoreless innings and leading right into the best closer in the country, Ronaldo Cairo, who was only a freshman this season. Cairo has extreme velocity and just doesn't give up walks and hits. It's tough to win when you can't get base runners when you're behind. As Illinois advanced into the semifinals, they awaited the winner of number 1 Maryland and number 8 Louisville. Maryland has consistently had great out-of-state recruiting since the chip that they won with Richard McGowan. Starting pitcher Reggie Ramirez out of Connecticut was one of those guys that they brought in. Ramirez is another velocity pitcher, but with so much control that he barely walks any batters. That kind of control paired with the velocity he has can be tough for NCAA hitters. It wasn't that tough for Louisville's star left fielder Pierre Long, who played pretty well in the game. Pierre, a great speedy contact hitter, went 2 for 3 with a double and a run scored. However, he was the only one to get hits off of Ramirez and the only one to cross the plate against the Terrapins, as the Terrapins were able to advance with a 3-1 victory. Last year's College World Series champion, the Purdue Boilermakers, came into the tournament as the number 2 seed with 2 great college players who were a bit more raw as far as the major leagues are concerned. Third baseman David Banks is a great fielder with some really good speed, but he is extremely raw at the plate. Second baseman Cy Hershiser is just raw all the way around. These are guys that might spend 3 to 4 seasons in the minor leagues before they get a sniff of major league play. For number 7 North Carolina, they had one of the best middle infielders in the country in second baseman Jonathan Dominique. Dominique has had a great fielding arm and some really good power all season long. If he gets the bat on the ball, it flies. In an offensive game, the Tar Heels prevailed for the first true upset of the tournament. Number 6, Missouri got to this point in dramatic fashion. A comeback against Ole Miss was completed with an incredible save by their amazing closer, Kenny Benton. One of the oldest players in this class, Benton, who had been super clutch all season with great break and velocity, struck out the side to win it for the Tigers. In their game against number 3 Virginia, Benton never got to pitch. Starting pitcher Mark Roberts had a decent outing, but Virginia is one of the most patient teams in the country at the plate. Roberts has a 103-mile-an-hour fastball, but his control is not the greatest, and the Cavaliers used it to their advantage. He would walk in 2 runs in big spots, and the Tigers would lose 2-1. That would send Virginia to take on the Cinderella Tar Heels in the semifinals. It was a tough battle between a very patient lineup and the star player in Jonathan Dominique. Dominique got some really good hits, including 2 RBIs. Virginia's patience at the plate, however, prevailed with 3 timely RBI singles. The best Virginia prospect, relief pitcher Orlando Pena, came in with the 3-2 lead and pitched the final 2 innings with 5 strikeouts. With Virginia set to go to the title game, who would join them? Number 1 seed Maryland pitched starting pitcher Mark Kenny. Mark was known for his tremendous breaking pitches, but his velocity was never extreme. He was able to help Maryland to a Game 1 win, but aside from Brian Aviles, Illinois had 2 more starters that helped them to victory. Ricky Littlefield, the sophomore, had great velocity on his pitches, and his breaking balls were on as well in Game number 2 to pitch a shutout and even the series. Aviles pitched in Game 3 to close the series out for Illinois and send them to the finals against Virginia. Andreas Hernandez, the senior starter for the Illini, pitched a lights-out game in Game number 1, as his velocity and break were untouchable, pitching a complete game shutout to win 3-0. In Game 2, the ball went to Littlefield, who went 8 strong, getting the ball to Cairo to clinch the series in the 9th inning, and the Illinois Fighting Illini are your College World Series champions. If you wish to take over, one of the players are going to be drafted this season and not mentioned here. Make sure you follow the template in the description below. Priority will be given to channel members and those of you who do not have a player in this series just yet. Now it's time to take a look at some of the user players and where they are at this point in their careers. Blake Westcott has made it to the major league level with the Miami Marlins. However, he is injured. He's going to be out with a broken forearm for 1 to 2 months. That's not good for him. Tyler Frick has been in the major leagues for a while. He's currently the 5th starter in the rotation for the Cleveland Indians. 3.81 ERA, not too bad. Kendall Brown, we know, has joined our Detroit Tigers a while ago, and he has been raking since he came up to the majors with us. James Watton, third baseman for the Nationals. He is their starting third baseman. He's batting .236 so far this year, not terrific. Ben Nost is the third baseman in AAA for the Boston Red Sox. He's batting .232. Not too bad, 9 homers. .239 for Matt DeFonso, who is in AA for the Washington Nationals at first base. Just a 56 overall, but still that A potential, you gotta hope somebody can bring him along. Preston Kinney is in AAA for the Minnesota Twins as a 74 A potential, batting .254 with 8 homers. Mark Leota, the starter, is basically the third starter in Kansas City right now with a .286 ERA. He's pitching very well at 20 years old. Looks like he could have a good career. Braden Young is the number 2 man in Minnesota with a .297 ERA, 6-1 on the year. He's been very good for them. Yogi Archibald is in AAA for Philadelphia, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. He's got a .472 ERA there, so needs a little bit more growth. Matty Dublin is in AA for the Seattle Mariners, .462 ERA for him. Needs just a little bit more growth there as well. Cole Shackelford is now in our Tigers Erie Seawolves organization, pitching to a .295 ERA, 129 whip this year. Reginald King IV has taken a hit to his overall in recent years. He's only a 74 overall now, only batting .194. Expected a lot more from him. Adam Azzarola is batting .238 in AA for the Oakland A's, playing for the Rockhounds. He's got 4 homers. And Ryan Butler, a 69, very nice, 20 years old player, pitching to a .290 ERA for the AAA team for the Diamondbacks. Ryan Schaefer was acquired by us a while ago. He's pitching for our Mud Hens, and he's raking right now. .266 ERA and a 5-1 record. Not too bad. Gavin Tenksa is actually playing really well as a 59 overall in AA for the Orioles. .327 is his average. Christian Colon, unfortunately, is in Single-A, so he is not getting any action for the Blue Jays right now. A 59A. Somebody needs to take him and help him along. Rowdy Miller's batting .224 with 4 homers in AAA for the Washington Nationals out at right field. He should be ready to come up within the next couple years. And then some new players. Wesley Muller III is going to be in the Red Sox organization. Right now, he's in Single-A. Also in the Red Sox organization is Hawkins, Shamond Hawkins, a 63 at 18 years old. Juan Ramada is in the White Sox organization, but in Single-A right now. A lot of these guys are going to be lower overalls because they're last year's prospects. Damian Hudson III is a 65 overall. He is in the Houston Astro organization at shortstop. And 65 at 18, not too bad. Dino Escalona is pitching for the Miami Marlins. He is in AA as a 74 at only 18 years old, so he'll have a chance to make an impact. Steven Jackson, a 67, 20-year-old in the Diamondback organization at AA at shortstop, batting .226. Batting .224 in AAA is Christian Hall. He's a 74 at 19 years old for the Colorado Rocky organization. Preston Flowers is also with the Rockies. He's a 49 at 19 years old, batting .250 in AA with 120 at-bats. That's not terrible, actually. And Gareth Gibson is in Single-A for the San Francisco Giants, 50 overall, 23-year-old B. Then we have Edwards. He is a 59, 20-year-old B in the AA Padres organization, batting .229 right now with 1 home run. So there you have it. There's our scouting episode, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you guys are excited. We have the draft coming in the next episode. Make sure you drop a like if you're excited for that. Subscribe if you're new to the channel for the love of franchise content. It's all we do here. We can build a winner together. And if you want to see more, click right here to see more franchise.
I feel you somehow.